Okay, great. Okay, we have a speaker that wants to address the board. Thank you.
My name's Larry Moore. I live on Hopefield Court. First of all, I wanted to thank the board members. We had a neighborhood meeting for Hopefield Court this past Friday. Some of the board members attended. It was very, very productive, and I think the neighborhood got a lot out of it. And I just want to thank you for that. Okay, so my next comments were kind of directed at the Amenities Committee. I play pickleball a lot, and we've noticed that the attendance to pickleball courts is really growing. The first issue we have is there's a bench that people sit at near the pickleball court, and part of it has broken off, and there's a metal piece on there that's trying to hold it in there. It's kind of dangerous. If we can get the committee to look at that and get that replaced or repaired, that would be great. As a matter of fact, another one would be even better to help the people that are standing around to be able to sit. The other issue is with the courts themselves. We've noticed that there's a lot of cracks in the courts. There's sand coming up through and probably water getting in. If we could have somebody take a look at that, see if they need to be repaired, because I'm sure we don't want to replace the surfacing anytime soon. Maybe that's something somebody can look at, and then if it's something that needs to be replaced in the near future, we could, be prepared. The last comment I have is there's a lot of people attending for pickleball. I mean, a lot of people standing around. I wonder if the committee could take a look at transforming the adjacent tennis court there into pickleball courts. And that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Appreciate those comments. All right.
Could I make a response?
Let's wait to the end of the meeting, John. Follow protocol. Yeah, it's good. I just want to finish these notes here. Okay. Okay. All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First, we're going to do the roll call. John Elkins.
Here.
David Ack.
Here.
Andrew Emmerich.
Here.
Todd Reinhardt.
Present.
Dave O'Donnell.
Here.
Rob Purcell.
Here.
Bill Simonelli. Present. General Manager Chuck Heel.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, and we'll proceed with the meeting. The first item on the agenda is I'd like to have a motion for the approval of the meeting minutes from November 21st, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from November 21st, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Okay. I'd like a motion to approve the meeting minutes from December 19th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor of approving the minutes from December 19th, 2024, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, those are approved. I feel like we're doing bookkeeping here. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes from December 30th, 2024. Who will make the motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the meeting minutes from December 30th? All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from December 30th, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Okay. Lastly, we have the meeting minutes from the executive board meeting that was conducted on January 23rd, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on those minutes?
All in favor of approving the minutes from January 23rd, 2025 Executive Board Meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. The next item is the Board President's Report. Good evening and welcome to everyone that is joining us tonight for this regular monthly board meeting. The season is in full swing here in Southwest Florida, and we've managed to dodge the snow apocalypse that affected other parts of Florida last week. The transition to precedent is progressing, and we are jointly working out some of the bumps we are encountering. Unfortunately, Associa has not provided some of the financial details needed to allow us to close the books on 2024. Final payments to Associa are being withheld, and senior level escalations are underway to Associa to attempt to break this logjam. Dave Ott will provide more additional details about this in the Treasurer's report. A key change that has occurred for the community since our last meeting is that we have been informed that the previous electronic voting service, Becker Ballot, that we utilized before has been discontinued. John Elkins, who did a lot of work to get this pulled together, worked with Precedent to set up a new system integrated into the Precedent Sync portal for voting. By now, every Sandoval member should have received by post mail the announcement of this year's annual meeting, information if you are interested in running for one of the 3 board positions up for a vote this year, and very importantly, on the new electronic voting system. If you have not received your letter by now, please contact or come into the office to make sure your address information is correct. Since the prior system was shut down, all members who previously registered for electronic voting in past elections must re-register with the new system, as well as any new users. We are organizing a town hall for Thursday, February 13th at 6 p.m. to provide the community an overview of the electronic voting system and to aid you with your registration. More information on the town hall will be shortly sent out. Tonight we have a number of items under new business to address. However, I want to have one important announcement to review with the community. Over the past year, the association has been advocating for the city of Cape Coral to accept the transfer of ownership of Hayden Lane. This effort included one-on-one discussions with all current and former city council members, the mayor, and key city administrators. The association hosted a city council all-candidate forum this past September, where candidates, now elected council members, met with the Sandoval community and were given the opportunity to respond to Sandoval's desire to transfer Hayden Lane to the city. The next step in this process was to formally petition the city council to consider the transfer. That petition was submitted to City Hall on January 7th. We have just been informed yesterday that Sandoval's petition is on the agenda for the next city council meeting, scheduled for Wednesday, February 5th at 5 p.m. in the council chambers at City Hall. I will be representing the association at the city council meeting. To maximize the impact of our presentation on the City Council, I have 2 requests for all Sandoval community members. Please consider attending the City Council meeting along with the board on February 5th. A significant number of Sandoval residents respectfully attending the meeting will demonstrate the community's serious concern about this issue and remind the newly elected City Council members of the commitments they made to us in person on Hayden Lane this past September. I would also ask for you to send an email to the mayor and to all city council members, respectfully asking them to agree to the transfer of Hayden Lane. Contact details and boilerplate emails have been sent to all association members via an email that was sent out earlier today. With that, I'll now turn it over to the treasurer for his report.
Get this running. Okay. Okay. Year-to-date income is under budget due to interest below forecast. Year-to-date house sales ahead of forecast. Expenses under budget, and the interfly cash has been moved to Popular Bank, and we've been paying
a lot of our large invoices out of that. The reserve assessment funds, the only balance that I can get to at this point that I trust is the fifth third. There's been a lot of, like Bill mentioned, there's been a lot of issues with Associa providing the information that precedent needs to reconcile all of the bank funding. So hopefully we will get that cleared up soon and we can finally be done with Associa. The 24 reserve spend, first quarter was 46,697. Second quarter was 117,936. Third quarter spend was 82,757, and fourth quarter was 31,025. The total year-to-date spend was $372,068. Again, we're working with Precedent, trying to get everything straightened out with Associa, and hopefully we'll get that done soon. All right. Year-to-date financials. Operating income and expenses look good. Operating expense positive year-to-date variance. Reserve assessment better than planned. The return on investments is lower than planned. Year-to-date major expenses. Everything looks good except for the payroll and benefits. And part of that is the result of the buyout with Associa. However, like Bill mentioned, we have not given them any of their money yet, and we won't do so until we're all satisfied that the transition is complete. Okay. Other expenses, administrative. It's higher than expected due to some startup costs with Precedent, such as the 2 mailings they did for us, and also something I noticed when I was putting this together on the November Associa financials. They had what they call a direct pass-through of $14,000, and I'm trying to track down what that is. But that along with the startup with Precedent is why we're 25,000 over budget. Taxes are over budget because we paid $53,000 in property taxes. And irrigation is irrigation. That's hopefully this year we have enough money in the budget to not be so over. Normally this is where I would go into the balances, and because of these issue with the reconciliation of the banks, I didn't even include them in my slides. Delinquencies. The master assessment delinquency totals 60,796, and the special assessment is 66,884. One of the issues we have with this is that when Associa sent the files over, somehow everything got loaded into 30 days. And we need to get that corrected in order to continue putting liens on houses and sending some of this to collections. So hopefully we'll get that straightened out soon and we can move on. Here's the year-end reserve spend, and like I said, it's $372,068, but the total spend plan was $211,837 under budget. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah.
Yes.
What was the reserve income for 2024?
The reserve income?
Income.
I'm not sure I follow what you're asking.
So how much money did get put into the reserve fund?
From the, so when you say income, Rob, you mean the assessments or from interest earned income?
Assessments, basically.
Okay.
Oh, that was, let me go back. Reserve assessments in 2024 was, budgeted was 442,000, but what came in was 558,000, and that was the result of increased home sales.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for David? Okay. Thank you, David.
Mhm.
Okay. Moving on, we have no violations to discuss this month. And we'll now move on to the general manager's report. Chuck?
Thanks, Bill. Before I start, I would like to introduce Sarah Wood from Precedent. I have in August of this year, I'll be here 3 years, and that's the first time I've had somebody from a management company here with me at a board meeting. So thank you. Thank you. But Sarah, I'm a direct report to Sarah. We meet weekly. She's helping us integrate the team, and we look forward to much more of her support. So, all right. General manager's report. Gate strikes for the month of January is 7, which is our typical average for gate strikes. We had a little slow process cutting over for violations. We've had 44 letters go out this year in January. A little bit slower because we've kind of taken on a manual approach to it. We are waiting a delivery of an iPad for Chris so he can actually go back out into the field and actually take pictures of violations, which turn immediately into letters. So right now he's kind of building the letters as he progresses. So we're hoping February's got a little bit more in front of it. Look on the status side, the pool slide has been completely refurbished. It was closed for the coldest week of the year here, so not too many people complained about not having access to the pool slide. You're sitting, those in the audience here, you're sitting on the new chairs that were purchased for the Pelican building. Be careful, don't break them. Good.
I'll get up and then kiss up.
And Bocce, we are starting to kick things off with the new year. We've got a new budget, and we're moving forward with getting the clay installation set up for the bocce courts. In Vera, we have, if anyone's noticed, the veterans kiosk camera. It seems the new thing now is when you don't get access to via the kiosk, you back up into the camera and knock it over. So we're actually relocating that camera and putting a bollard in front of it so cars can't knock into that camera. So tennis court repair, we've had some problems with the fence. That is underway. We just recently received a proposal for sod replacement in the common area. The landscape committee will be meeting on that. We'll be discussing moving forward with sod replacement in areas where we've had some problems. Also, in around the topic of mulch, we have finally come to an agreement with the horrible company that did the mulch in common and bulk. They've agreed to a reduced price. We've interviewed one company and we have another interview next week with another company who will be coming in and taking over the list of houses that need additional mulch. And we're hoping that price is lower than what our discount would we apply to our current vendor. We will not be using that vendor again, nor will I say their name. It's almost like a DTE thing for me. And then last but not least, board, you have this piece of paper in front of you. Okay, so what this is is where our playground parts are. They left Oregon on the 21st or the 23rd. From what we could tell, those parts were in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, and Sacramento last week, which, as everybody knows, was a tough week to be in California. So it took another 5-day delay. They were supposed to be here on the 17th. They're not here now. It looks like they're somewhere between Texas and Georgia. So I wanted to make sure this is what we're watching to see where our parts are. They are on a truck. That's good. But we did this week have part of the renovation on the playground taken care of with the slides. So the slides have been repaired. Once we get these parts in, that will be taken care of. But just for your reference, I know I've reported on this several times, and I still that Todd's granddaughter um, speaking about it. Nobody wants this playground open faster than me. The fence around it is meant to keep people off because it's not safe. But I can't guarantee when this truck is going to show up, but I want it to be, this is what we're looking at. So I know that's a topic. I believe that's it for me. If anyone has any other questions.
Any questions for Chuck?
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. All right. We have no old business to go through tonight. The first item on new business is a resolution to approve a revised charter for the Ad hoc Internet Committee. Let me read that. Whereas the Internet Ad hoc Committee was formed by the Board of Directors at the October 25th, 2023 board meeting, and whereas the Internet Ad hoc Committee has diligently fulfilled its original purpose to explore alternatives to CenturyLink, which resulted in the association executing an agreement with Bluestream Communications LLC on December 31st, 2024. Be it resolved that the Internet Ad hoc Committee shall be reconstituted as the Ad hoc Internet Construction Oversight and Contract Compliance Committee. The committee shall be responsible for overseeing all aspects of the Internet construction project, including but not limited to planning, execution, and quality assurance as defined in the Bluestream Agreement. The committee shall report regularly to the Board of Directors on the progress of the project. Frank Hannigan will be appointed as the chairperson of the committee, and Bill Simonelli will continue as the board liaison on the Internet Ad hoc Construction Oversight and Contract Compliance Committee. Finally, the committee shall consist of 5 members with relevant experience in Internet communications, construction oversight, and contract compliance. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Questions or discussion on this resolution? Thanks. Before we vote, I would like to, though he's not here, I'd like to thank Steve Cashins. He did a lot of work back in the 2021 timeframe for the community to try to improve the internet environment for the community. And he worked very hard since the formation of this committee. First, with trying to motivate CenturyLink to improve their service to our community, and provided guidance and a lot of technical assistance to all the members of the committee to reach the point where we were able to present the Bluestream agreement for acceptance by the board. So I wanted to thank him personally for all the work he did and wish him well on his new endeavors in Sicily. With that, I'd like to call for the vote. All in favor of this resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The next item on new business is a resolution to approve Gerstyle, Rosen, and Goldenberg public auditors as auditors for the association. Dave, do you have a resolution?
Yes. Be it resolved that the treasurer of the association is authorized to commence negotiating with Gersel, Rosen, and Goldenberg, PA, a public accounting firm located throughout Florida, including Fort Myers, with extensive experience in financial auditing and preparing tax returns for homeowners association. The president of the association is authorized to execute the agreement to retain Gerstel, Rosen, and Goldenberg, PA, upon the completion of the negotiation and the recommendation to do so by the treasurer of the association.
Do I have a second for this resolution?
I'll second.
Seconded by John Elkins. Any questions or discussion for Dave on this resolution? Dave, do you have any comments to make on this?
The only comment I have is I looked at 3 different firms, and this one was the most thorough in terms of the information they requested from me to analyze and come up with a contract. So I think they're going to do a very good job. All 3 of these companies were recommended by precedent because they've done a lot of work for precedent communities. So I just felt this one was the best.
Okay. And you have reviewed the proposed agreement with risk management, correct?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
And
And
they requested some changes. I had the changes made, and risk management reviewed it and said that it was okay.
okay, very good. Any other questions for Dave? Or comments? Okay.
It says a 1 or 2 year option. Are you voting on a 1 year or 2 year?
Voting on the 1-year option. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor of approving this resolution to execute this agreement for a 1-year option, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Next item of new business. Each is resolution to approve the revised resident handbook. Andrew Emmerich, you have the resolution?
I do. States a resolution by the Sandoval Community Association, Inc., referred to as the association going forward. Whereas it is necessary for the association as needed from time to time to draft, adopt, maintain, review, and revise the association's resident handbook, the Rules Committee provides the association's board of directors, further known as the board, with the January 2025 revision of the resident handbook for approval and adoption. Be it resolved that the association adopts the resident handbook revision January 2025 with an effective date of January 30th, 2025. On adoption of the new revision, the resident handbook, the resident handbook revision January 2025 will be available to homeowners and residents upon request and can be located and downloaded from the livesandoval.com website for convenient direct access.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions or Andrew, do you like to make any comments before we entertain questions?
Just wanted to make a comment that we obviously took the current version of the document that is drafted and posted currently on the Live Sandoval website and is being distributed to new residents and homeowners as they enter the community. Took a review of it, cleaned up basically some language that was dated for the most part. Tried to gain consistency on the age in the community of which certain amenities can be accessed by our younger membership and get a consistency into that. Risk management took an opportunity, and I appreciate Todd and that committee for reviewing that. Made some good suggestions, predominantly that we want to clarify in a forward where does authority with regards to enforcement of the rules and regulations ultimately stands, and that's with the governing docs. But again, that this is a document of convenience that lays out some of the direction that the community wishes behavior to go, and as well as the convenient information to the community as a whole. So in general, we adopted, if not all, but most of those. I know that there remains some concerns out there, ways that we can improve it in the future, and we certainly take a look at that.
Okay. Questions for Andrew? Comments? Discussion? Yes,
I have
Ty.
a comment.
Or John?
I think this has been through multiple iterations and it's probably the most thorough production of the handbook we've seen. It really needed to be updated, and I want to thank the team for doing it.
Todd, were you going to make a comment?
Yes, excellent. I think it's fantastic. As I had expressed as the liaison for risk management, asking for additional clarification on page 34 of the document, which is the covenants enforcement process. the committee has requested or asked that additional language be added in regards to what I would say out of cycle penalties that are imposed to property owners, such as code of conduct violations or ARC violations. Uh, the particular document that's expressed here on page 34 does not indicate that. And the committee believes there should be transparency to the property owners on what consequences exist for not complying to these particular rules. And once again, I want to express the committee is all for following and adhering to rules. However, we also believe that it should be transparent to property owners on what the consequences are for not following those rules.
Okay. Do we have any other comments, Andrew?
I did not know. I know that was the one
The one
topic of conversation that we
disagreement,
may
right?
need to take additional
Okay.
review of.
Okay.
I would just comment that the current language is what is on page 34 on the current document.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments on this resolution?
So for clarification, is that something that's going to be looked at for updating or not?
We certainly, Todd, if that's the board's direction to the committee, we're happy to take that and take a look at that.
I don't
I
have.
mean, I have concerns personally as a board member for us as a board of directors outline exactly what each specific violation is going to result in, because in my mind, it hamstrings our abilities based on section 7 of the declaration to give us certain courses of action that we can take as a group in certain scenarios, particularly around the roofs. Over the last several years, we've had to make adjustments as a group on how we want to handle those situations based on not punishment. I want to look at some of that as more as deterrent of behavior. So I have concern that the board as a whole, adopts a stringent list of you do this, you violate this particular situation, you can always expect the same result of a punishment, when we may find that given frequency of violation, we as a board may need to adjust how we handle that. And that's what the covenants process is in place for, is to allow the homeowners to come before that body, make their argument and their case, and allow that body to determine whether our, our fine, our suspension of, suspension of amenities is, the correct course of action, or the fair course of action, I think would be more appropriate.
I think we're not looking for specific language, but we're asking for that there be highlighted generic comments made in what the process is, that there could be consequences besides what's identified on page 34. Because right now there is nothing in our policy and procedure that highlights that there is, how an extraordinary circumstance is identified and how it's handled.
And yeah, that I would say then let's have the rules committee and the risk committee, risk management committee look at what that generic language needs to be for comfort level.
If you're okay with that, then I would support it and amend the motion to approve with the rules committee revising or taking a look at that. I don't have the language, but
Sure.
having the rules committee put something in there,
Okay.
basically trying to deter people from creating violations, but knows that there is a stiffer penalty that could be applied to them if we're not following rules.
Absolutely. I like the generic language thought of that. Absolutely. I misunderstood the direction that the committee was looking. So I think we should take that, put that in front of the rules committee.
So Tad, are you proposing a specific amendment to this resolution?
I would propose that it's page 34 specifically. The other parts of the document are outstanding, but page 34 is sent back to the rules committee for revision of the language that puts something generic in there in regards to, next level consequences for not following rules.
Sure.
So, but just to clarify, but this amendment doesn't stop us if we approve to publish what is currently available.
As long as there's a timeline established to revise page 34.
Then you need to.
What time frame would you like us to
You tell
tackle?
me what you could do, Andrew. I don't want to be unrealistic. I mean, 60, 90 days.
I think we could do it in 60. I think that's fair. I think we could probably do it in 30, but 60 would definitely give us the room to get it done.
That would be great. It just creates transparency. it provides the property owner a better idea of, what consequences are for violation.
Sure, fair enough.
So just for clarity, Ted, could you restate the amendment?
Oh, geez, Bill.
I know, memory test.
Page 34 is sent back to the Rules Committee for language revision that highlights additional consequences for rules violations. Does
Within
that
the next 60 days.
Within 60
within the
days.
next 60 days? Thank you for helping me with that.
Okay, all right. Do I have a second to the amendment?
Second.
Any more discussion on the amendment? All in favor of adding this amendment to the resolution, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Back to discussing the main resolution as amended. Any other comments or discussion before we vote? I just would like to thank the Rules Committee. They did a lot of hard work on this, and I think the community is going to benefit by the clarity that the Rules Committee put into the new document.
Thank
So
you.
please pass on our thanks to them for this hard
Amen.
work.
Will do.
Great job.
Okay. All those in favor of approving this resolution as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
That one question quick for Chuck about the handbook. Are all new residents given a paper copy?
If they come to the office, we hand them a new orientation. We have a PowerPoint slide,
Okay,
and part of that, we also include the handbook.
so they do get a hard copy of the printed handbook.
Yes.
Okay, and are we doing regular new resident meetings?
We haven't done one in the last couple of months. The last one we did, there was only like one person that showed up.
Okay.
And we're going through transition with associate, so
Understand.
I think right now we're seeing a lot of renters and we've only seen 3 house sales in January. So I would kind of say maybe March timeframe, we have our next new orientation. It was also recorded and it's on Live Sandoval too. So people can be pointed to Live Sandoval and actually watch the presentation.
There is a complete presentation on Live Sandoval.
Yes, we have to edit it. There's that associate couple of things that need to be deleted and edited, but outside of that, it's the same concept.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right. The next item of business is a resolution to approve revised ARC guidelines for generators. Rob, can you make the motion, please?
Yeah, I move that we approve the revised regulations for generators in the.
Do I have a second to this resolution?
I'll second.
Okay. Rob, can you give a little background on the need for the change?
Yeah, the change was because in the previous publications, it only has a regulation for propane tanks, which every generator has a propane tank. So we came to include generators to be used to sit by the setbacks of 5-foot side yard, 10-foot backyard, and not in the front. So that was just a clarification, and to add the word generator along with tanks.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Jen.
Does this meet city code?
Yes.
That's all.
Yeah, everyone that gets approved has to.
Had to meet city code anyway.
They got to be city code anyway. They have to put in permit to meet city code also. So yeah.
Well, but yeah, my neighbor of mine has a 20-gallon tank right beside his house.
He does. Okay, that's not legal.
It's not fair. It's not
It's
fair.
not mine.
It has to be buried. Sandoval regulations say it has to be buried. So yeah.
Okay. All right.
Been out there.
Any other questions for Rob?
It's not him.
Okay.
Not Bill. Exactly.
No, I can keep my tanks in the garage.
That's
As anybody
okay.
knows.
Okay. You can blow the house up.
Okay. Yes. Then they're next to Jen's house too, so he can.
There you go.
So, any other questions or comments for Rob before we vote on this? Okay. All in favor of the proposed resolution, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and so approved. Dave, my apologies, because I reversed the order of these on the agenda. Okay.
I'd make a motion to have Dave as the strategic plan chair. How about that? Let's get this.
Yeah. Do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations, Dave.
Welcome, Dave.
More responsibility.
Okay. All right. Resolution to approve reserve spend for sidewalk repair. Do I have a
So move.
second?
Guys are going way too
Second.
fast. Hold on,
It's Todd.
John. Second.
That's John.
Okay,
Todd did it and I seconded it.
got it. Thank
Okay.
you.
So, Chuck, could you give us an explanation of this reserve request?
Yes, last year, risk management and management got together. Risk management walked the entire property and presented a list of a number of issues with either cable boxes, irrigation boxes, and also sidewalks. What we did with that list is we addressed the easy things like the irrigation boxes and things of that nature. But the sidewalks, we went out and looked at, had 3 companies come in and take a look at all the issues, the variances in the sidewalk, and came up with the solution that there's actually 350 small trip hazards out there. And to explain, the sidewalk was there and the brick paver driveway kind of comes across. Brick paver driveway kind of settles and sinks down, and now you've got a quarter of an inch, a half an inch kind of trip hazard. So it's those types of issues throughout the community that we looked at in the fall of last year and budgeted, talked to the finance budget committee, budgeted this amount for this particular vendor to come out and take care of all of those 350 trip hazards.
Right, and that's what's identified on this map, all the locations.
Yes.
And based on that history, this is one of our most significant potential losses. Liability, we should fix it right.
And I just have a quick comment. You can imagine the work that took to put all that together. So kudos to the risk management group, but also to the safety and security committee that also participated. It was a huge task, but we got it done.
Okay.
And it looks like they actually identified 399 that we're going to do. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, that's what our contract says there.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of risk.
Yes. Okay. So, Chuck, I just want to double check one thing. This is not addressing cracks in sidewalks, just
Just trip hazards.
trip hazards. Okay. All right.
And they're just gonna bevel the edges, right?
Bevel the edges. Yep.
Okay, which is similar to what was done on the Esplanade 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Okay.
That's another place.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? Okay. All those in favor of approving this reserve request, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on. Okay. Just get to the paperwork. Okay. The next item on the agenda under new business is a resolution to approve a reserve spend for a traffic calming sign proposal from Safety and Security Committee. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So, just by way of explanation, this is to put in 2 traffic monitoring signs, speed monitoring signs at a strategic location, Parkway and on the Boulevard. The final location for what will be installed is still to be determined. We want to utilize some in-community experts for some recommendations for optimal placement of those devices. They are primarily going to be used to provide feedback to the drivers of their speed and they can be modified to be passive once we feel that they're having some impact. And we will be collecting non-user specific information about the number of cars and vehicles passing through the streets and the speeds and what the different ranges of thresholds of speeds are for the number of vehicles going through the community. And these two units were in the reserve plan for the 2025 budget. Do note that when that was put together with the finance committee last year, an additional $1,000 was not included to cover the poles and installation. The installation of these units will be done by the in-house maintenance staff. Any questions or comments on this? Yes, John.
I was skeptical of this because of the overall result of the community and the traffic calming survey. However, and I asked questions of the chairman about how this worked. His answers were quite thorough and quite reasonable. So I think this is a reasonable step that we should do.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, Rob.
Does it display the speed that the person's going?
It can. There's options, I believe, in terms of flashing something similar to you're going too fast, or you could actually display the speed that they are being monitored at.
Okay.
Or they could be completely passive and just collect the data without any visual indicators.
Okay. I don't know where the comment came from, but someone said that we should make sure that if they do display the speed, there is a ceiling that's displayed, because otherwise people are going to try to go through it and see if they can make it hit 100.
Yes.
So either it just blinks if you're over speed limit, or if we do display the speed, that it's, it's regulated and there's a ceiling on it.
Fair comment. Yes.
Okay.
I'll make sure the Safety and Security Committee is aware of that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this? Okay. All right. All those in favor of approving the reserve expenditure request for the traffic calming proposal, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Last item under new business is the resolution to approve reserve spend for emergency storm drain repair. And make the resolution to spend. So I'm gonna refresh my memory on what the total. Oh, here it is. I think. Do I have a second to this resolution?
Second.
Okay. Chuck, could you explain this, please?
Yes, sir. Out here, right in the field, you'll see some orange fencing around one of the drains. What has basically happened is the drain, when originally built, has sunk down probably about 6 inches, maybe even more. So it now has, instead of a gradual slope into a drain, it now kind of pitches straight down. And it's out on the playing field, so where kids run around. So it's a trip hazard, yeah. When we brought out the contractor, we also showed them a specific area where the drainage structure near Lake 17, which is right next to the clubhouse, has eroded so much that the structure is above the ground, and the rain basically pools there and doesn't really do what it's supposed to do. But there's also near the volleyball court, unbeknownst to us, there's another drain out there that's kind of hidden in the shrubs that also is dropped and sunk. So too bad we didn't have this, at budget time last year, but this was brought to our attention really after the Winterfest, was when it came to our attention in December. So this is to meet emergency repair and correct the drains, put the right slope in, and put sod back in to make it aesthetically pleasing.
Now, I assume the drains are still connected to the drainage system,
They are.
even though the boxes have sunk.
The box sunk, yeah. They may have to manipulate the pipe to bring the pipe back up.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Go ahead, Ty.
Is this an operating budgeted item that it's in the budget?
No, it's an emergency reserve request.
Okay, so this is a reserve request. Can I ask about, I don't need to go back, but the traffic, is that operating or,
That's reserved.
That was reserve planned.
okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about this reserve request? Okay. All those in favor of the reserve request expenditure for the storm drain repair, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so passed. All right. We're now going to move on to the committee reports. The first committee report is for the ad hoc Internet Construction and Contract Compliance Committee. What I'd like to report is that we had our first introductory meeting with Blue String Fiber yesterday. We were introduced to what they call a new accounts manager, young lady by the name of Diana Lamus. And she worked with the team to set up the date for a walkthrough to occur on Thursday, February 13th, if I remember the date correctly. That date will be used where the construction supervisor, the on-site construction manager, and key engineering personnel from Blue Stream will do a complete walkthrough of the community to verify all the information that's in the contract, where the gratis locations are, and make sure that all the locations for the head-end equipment are worked out. And in addition to that, we'll be looking to secure entrance into a couple different houses and domiciles so that they have a chance to look at the internal wiring so that they have a complete picture. And we just need to get sort of a representative sample of the different model types across the community. After that, they will then have a detailed construction review meeting with us. And at that point, they will be working on scheduling the start of construction. They did tell us they will be putting up signs in a neighborhood when they are doing work in a particular neighborhood. They will be participating from a marketing perspective in community events over the course of the year to introduce themselves, and they are already targeting December 3rd as a scheduled town hall where they will introduce themselves in detail to the community and start working on scheduling installations with the community, plus displaying some of the retail offerings that they have at that time, like the TV offering and the in-home phone service offering that the residents can take as a retail option. Any questions on that?
I have one.
You.
Do they do their own construction?
They hire outside construction companies. We have language in the contract that they have to notify us who those companies are, and we have the ability to approve or reject those companies. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Communications Committee, David. Sorry.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, we had a great meeting on the 23rd of January, first meeting of the year with the Communications Committee, and working on several things. We have a list of goals to all that, but I will talk to you about two pending things we're working on. Item 10A for HB 1203 CAMs and HOAs, a list of all current executory contracts and documents which the association is a party to, and so on. Anything, basically interpretation to anything that we've acquired in the past year. So we need not only the contracts, but also any bids. So we're struggling a little bit on accumulating those. And I see that we have a lot of them in here in this packet, but those are related to. So I think a few emails have been sent to both Yamali and Chuck.
Right.
Well, I said that I would bring it to the board. I just want to figure out a way that we can streamline pulling that together so that maybe we get that
So,
information.
I mean, I'll have to go back and check our notes from when we did this review with our council back in July, David.
Yeah.
But I believe to be in compliance with that regulation, we needed to provide a list of all current contracts. and that details can be provided on request using the request process that's currently implemented in Live Sandoval. So we can go back and relook at that, and that might save some work on that effort.
So technically, that we're going to be posting the list of contracts.
List of the contracts. Okay.
That's good.
And then, but any member of the association has the right to view any of the business records of the association using the request form that's on Live Sandoval.
Excellent. So that also covers off the second item that was 14.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back and double check the recording of that meeting, but I believe that's the guidance we got from our council.
Yeah. So the other thing that was brought up that I wanted to check because it may be available in our new portal is how an individual would make the request for records or account information relating to their positions.
So I believe that there is a form and a process that was supplied to the communications committee to put on Live Sandoval. Here again, we can double check that. And if there's some miscommunications on that, we can get that resolved.
I think that one's still fairly open because it's pretty clear they didn't have the right information to post that.
Okay. All right.
Other than that, just working on some other things and it's going well.
Okay.
A couple of potential camera items that are being reviewed and bids are being collected on that.
Okay.
And then the last thing that we agreed to tackle in the next, month to 60 days, 60 days is to set up a meeting with our current website provider and ferret out all the possibilities of what they can provide for backup and, what we're being charged, details of the contract, et cetera, so that we can begin to decide, make some decisions about how we best protect, records that might be need to be backed up and recalled.
Okay.
So
That's it.
That's it on communications.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Ark, Rob.
Yeah, it's been relatively quiet. No great catastrophes or dilemmas. We're still getting a few roofs. A lot of people snowbirds came back, and we're getting a lot of, shutters and windows and landscaping and painting and normal everyday stuff. So, like this Saturday's meeting, there's 2 roofs in 13 applications, so it's calmed down quite a bit. So that's basically it.
All right. Any questions for Rob? Okay. Thank you. Rules Committee, Andrew.
Yes, the Rules Committee met on January 20th. Purpose of that meeting was to predominantly review the comments that the board made on the revision of the resident handbook that we just approved. We will meet again next month with the primary task of working with the Risk Management Committee as directed on that page 34 revision. The committee has been and we will continue to collect records of any motions and resolutions passed since the management of the association was turned over from the developers to our elected board of representatives.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Andrew? Okay. Social Committee.
Well, social continues to work hard and fast, and we're got a busy start for February. First thing, actually, Saturday is the Valentine Craft. On the 6th at 10 a.m., the fraud scam lecture.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Valentine carry-in dinner on the 7th, where I think we're just about full in tables, aren't we?
Yes.
On the 15th, paint and sip, 7 p.m. On the 17th, we got the Genealogy Society coming. And then an arcade theater, see Boca at 7 p.m. And then for March, we've got Murder Night Mystery, a garage sale, and the states and countries are gathering for their soirees in the clubhouse, in the clubhouse. So once again, the associate committee meets twice a month. It's quite busy.
John, you forgot the most important event in February.
Sorry?
It's when the Red Sox beat the Yankees in spring training.
I was talking about the Red Sox and Yankees in training.
But it's sold out.
Sorry.
I also put another one out there, Twins Red Sox.
Twins Red Sox. What's the date of that?
Yeah.
John, do you have a date for the garage sale?
We do not. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do. March 8th. Excuse me. March 8th and the Murder Night Mystery is March 1st and March 30th is the start of the states and countries gathering.
Thank you.
We'll report that again.
Amenities?
Well, amenities, you got me, but it's really Ross.
Me. We've had one meeting recently, basically reviewing the sign that states the pool rules go on the pool. And Brian and Jennifer are working to revise that and have a new sign made because there are contradictions between the two signs that are out there. So that's that. There's a bunch of stuff that's in process, as Chuck reported on a couple of it. The court fencing, the bocce, yeah, clay replacement on that, tiki hut repair. It's that's just in process. We're just waiting to get in line. We're just backed up from Milton and everybody else wanting work done. Slide repairs, as Chuck said, the slides all repaired. Pool furniture is in a cycle to get renewed, so much at a time. So I think there's another batch will be purchased in the next 6 months or so, just to delay the expenses so they're not all piled up at one time. Stuff that's been pre-approved, and of course the chairs which are all sitting on. So
Yes.
other than that, that's about it.
So Rob, do you mind if I ask John? John wanted to make a comment regarding pickleball?
Yeah. What's the best way if someone sees a problem, say on the courts, should they put in a work order or what? We need something in writing, not just verbal, right?
Usually an email or a telephone call.
To Brian, what prepare first, but the question,
Chuck or Brian.
Chuck and Brian, and the question, however, of can we convert tennis courts to pickleball courts? Sandoval bylaws and basic documents outline tennis courts, so we can't eliminate tennis courts.
He's saying we have one that has temporary lines on it.
Yeah.
Whether you use temporary, we could convert that instead of being 2 temporary courts into 4 full-time courts like we did the other tennis court.
And
on the same side.
Okay for tennis?
And then we still have 2 full tennis courts. So it's
okay.
It's
I just want to make sure we stay in concert.
No, we still would stay in concert.
Basic covenants. Yeah.
So and I know that the pickleball people, there's lots and lots more and more, especially now that snowbirds are here. It's even worse. Summertime, it's some of that need. Now it's getting more and more. I mean, my wife goes over to Sunsplash and to Lake Kennedy, and there's 30 courts, and they fill them up every day.
Yeah.
So it's going crazy. So we'll definitely take a look at that and look into see if if there's money for it. Find somebody to do it. I think the guy that last did it's not speaking to us right now. So
Okay. Thank you, Rob.
you bet.
Okay. Dog Park Subcommittee?
Well, that's not me either.
That's
It's David.
That's Dave.
Dave.
Yeah, I was just catching Rob up on the latest and greatest. I think we're in good shape. We believe that, and I've walked both parks. The vast majority of all the holes have been filled. There are still periodic complaints from residents, but again, I think it's a matter of channeling those complaints in the right direction. I went out and looked and didn't find anything that looked awry in terms of holes. So thank you guys for getting those holes filled. Appreciate that. And that's really all we have right now, other than the tiki hut falls under the same problem we have everywhere. Those will have to be addressed. And at some point, we'll get our benches that were approved from last year.
Start doing that now.
Okay.
I don't know how that works.
The money's been allocated for it. What do we have to do to get it?
Yeah, it's on our list of things to order.
Okay.
Good.
It's working on it.
Yeah, working on it.
They got lots to do.
Okay. So I will skip safety and security because we discussed what their current activities were when we went through the resolution. Lakes Committee?
Lady Jane.
You're welcome. Okay, the next Lakes Committee meeting is February 11th, 4:30 here in the Pelican Building. Again, the repair on Lake 16 is completed. Because the repair was done in fall, the plants there are dying off. It is winter, and they should come back. Any that do not come back will be replanted. They have a 1-year warranty, and the install date was like December 2nd. So we have until next December to have them replaced. We want to make sure they get replaced at the prime time for planting, which probably will be at the start or into the rainy season. So they have the best chance of taking. We had 2 meetings this month. One on the 14th was our regular scheduled meeting, and we talked about quotes for two major topics that we're working on. Quotes for the repair for shoreline repair for 2025, and we also want to do competitive bids for the maintenance contract. That what we have now is a contract that was written in 19. It was a 5-year contract, so we're just rolling over at this point. So we want to do competitive bids for lake maintenance. The second meeting was this morning, and at that meeting we had the vendor, Seabreeze, that did the lake show repair. They came in and asked. We talked to them for an hour with questions, different options for the contracts. So they are going to be providing us in the next 2 weeks 3 contracts to consider, and we're also hoping to have the RFP for the lake maintenance out, and hope that in the next 2 weeks we have contracts for that. So next month I may be bringing 2 proposals to the board. Other than that, that's it. The schedule of meetings is at Live Sandoval. If anybody wants to come to the next 2 meetings. Any questions, concerns?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Finance Committee report.
Finance Committee, we met last Tuesday and we basically reviewed a lot of the proposals that were sent today, for spends. I am still desperately begging people to join the Finance Committee. There are 4 people on the committee, including myself, and we need more people. It's a big job, and for whatever reason, people are hesitant to join it. And I honestly think it's a good opportunity because it allows them to see what we do and where the money goes that we spend, because we don't try to just spend money because it's there. We look at everything and analyze everything. And sometimes we're going to say, no, we don't this. I know it's a board decision, but the more help we can get, the better off we'd be. So that's where I am with finance.
Okay. Any questions on finance before we move on? Okay. Landscaping.
I am sad to announce that Lynn Berry has resigned from the landscape committee, due to health reasons for both her and her husband. So we will be looking for additional people on landscape. On top of that, Linda Duclos, she also resigned, and the 2 of them were co-chairs. So if anybody's interested, let me know, because that drops us down to 3 people, 4 people counting me. But I want to thank the 2 of them for all the work they put into it. They've been on the landscape committee for years, and they're going to be missed with their experience.
Yeah, please pass on our thanks from the entire board for all the work that they did.
I will.
I think especially last year with all the landscape contract works, they really did a lot of yeoman work on that.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Dave on landscaping?
David, are we seeing any improvement as far as Juniper's performance?
I think we are. Are we seeing it as fast as I would like? No, but the biggest issue right now is the grass with this fungus. It's something that can't be prevented. It's because of the amount of rain we had this past summer. So the grass, both in common areas and bulk, is not looking as good as it should. Um, One thing Juniper is doing is they are offering at a loss to them, if anybody wants sod replaced, they're only charging $1.25 per square foot. You can't get that anywhere else for that price. The other thing I have, I've driven around with Dave Keel, the account manager. We did this last week, and I identified areas that I thought they were lacking, and they have already started to correct those issues. And I asked him, another thing I found out is I went through the contract and the pricing for the common area, and we are paying them for something that they don't do. So I told him that I was going to either want a credit for some of the other things that we need to get done, or I wanted a check to come back. So he is working on that with his bosses because he's not authorized to say, okay, this is what we'll do. And I'm waiting to hear back from him. And I'm hoping to hear back by next week.
The one concern that I have from a personal observation is that the tractors they ride on are setting land speed records.
I,
And
I'm
I don't know
going.
if they're paid by the hour or not, but
You're
it-
not
it's
the first person to tell me that.
they go faster than cars in this neighborhood, which is hard to believe. But it's just something that whatever the committee can do would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I plan on. We've had a couple town halls, and the residents have repeated what you just said. So
Thank you.
I'm aware of it, and I will be meeting with them on next Wednesday.
Thank you, David.
Okay. Also, David, could you just give a brief explanation of the session that's tomorrow at 4:30? The Florida lawn.
Oh, that's not.
Is that being sponsored by Landscape?
No,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to attend, but
Okay. All right. All right. That was probably put on by Jessica set that up then, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Covenants Committee, Todd.
The Covenants Committee and Chairman Composada met on January 16th. There was one violation that was reviewed, no issues. And it looks based on tonight's agenda that there will be no Covenants meeting in February. Hooray.
Okay. It's always better if the residents cure the issues themselves before they get the next letter.
Before the guillotine comes out, that's correct.
The next letter.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
If I can add to
Yeah.
that,
Risk management.
if I can
Excuse me, do we have any questions?
add to that, just a note, in the associate system, it's just a paper system that kind of spits out a letter. We put it in the mail. In the precedent system, it not only does it print the regular letter, but it also emails the owner. It's the same time that they send out the letter, and we're getting a faster response from people via email saying, "Oh, I didn't know, and I'll correct it." So we are starting. That's one of the reasons why we're starting to see people are reading their emails. Sometimes the letters, the covenants letters, go to up north or what have you, and we hear a lot of that. But this is one added benefit that we see from the precedent having that email link at the time of the first, second, and third letter.
Okay. You just made me think of something. Is Chris paying much attention to the requirements in regards to what was the terminology used by Marilyn Trotsky's? I don't know what that means, but the stuff in the yards,
Like cardinals,
like your favorite college being displayed all over the place. Are we paying attention to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, well, and that usually it gets corrected rather quick. It doesn't make its way all the way to covenants. Obviously, we just had an election. We've had our share of political signs that he had to flags that he had to deal with, as well as some of those lawn ornaments that you want, or that are legal, some are not legal, where they're placed, and things of that nature. But yeah, those tend to get corrected pretty quickly.
Thank you.
Any other questions regarding covenants?
I had one question, Bill.
Sure.
Are we any closer to with regards to towing, or does that still remain?
So the issue with towing is that we're trying to work out an agreement with the one towing company that is available to do service in this community at, with acceptable business terms and insurance terms. We have a meeting with our insurance agent tomorrow, and one of the topics is to address ways to get coverage to cover the difference between what the towing company is willing to do versus what we believe is adequate for the community. So we're trying to see if there's some way to achieve an umbrella coverage for that type of event. It's very frustrating because we don't even have two or three companies to sort of compete against each other. So this has been a challenge. Also, in fairness to risk management, the company that we're trying to deal with is a husband wife company that probably is not the best at their record keeping. So they've given us some incorrect information about their correct business name and stuff like that. So we've had to go through a few cycles to get that resolved with them.
Understood.
So
I would just take it as an opportunity to remind the community that parking on the street between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. is not permitted. Given that the foreword of the current resident handbook that was passed notes that the governing docs supersede the resident handbook, that courtesy is also a courtesy.
yeah.
Because technically, we're not supposed to be parking at all on the streets. So I do remind the community members, please be cognizant of that. I know you're looking at me like that, Todd, but
No, I was thinking because the idea was brought up is there a way that the security company and they're roaming around, I don't know what their hours are, but for those violations for cars on the street, just as an idea, that they snap a picture and we implement some type of fining procedure from a board standpoint? Is that something we could do? I mean,
Yeah.
let's face it, the only way to get cooperation is through the pocketbook, right?
Right.
yes.
And the risk of a towing company is huge, as Bill's finding out, unfortunately. But I mean, if we have a security company and the guy's driving around, and if there's a car on the street, if he shoots a picture with an address, why couldn't we implement something like that where we're finding them for? We have the evidence, right?
And I also want to say that probably it was under the previous, not the previous management company, but the previous one to that, I do know we had family members have received warning letters that said you're supposed to not be here from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. So that probably wouldn't hurt either. So
Yeah. So I mean, Todd, I think that's
a warning versus a fine, Tom, but I would be happy with a fine.
Yeah.
But
that's an idea we need to look at. The problem I foresee is that unless there's a one for one correspondence of car in front of the house that you want to violate, you're gonna people are gonna figure out, oh, if I park down the street, it's not gonna impact me.
Yeah, but at the start, I mean, I think
know.
it's something that the rules committee could take a look at. I mean, let's face it, the, the violation, the speeding, the blowing through stop signs. I mean, it just we have the thing tonight that we approved is a baby step, but we have to put some teeth into it. And I'm just thinking outside the box in regards to something that we don't have a risk of the towing company, but we actually we hit people in the pocketbook for street violations.
true.
Just an idea.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Agree.
Okay. All right, any other comments in that area before we move on? Dave, I know you just got set up a strategic planning, but do you have anything to give us?
So the thing that we're gonna do is to revise, kind of reinvigorate and revise and think about what does the strategic plan mean for Sandoval. And I've got to dig in and look at the charter and go through all that. I haven't done that yet, but in general, my thoughts, and I'll bounce this off the committee, and I have another member that would like to join the committee that I think is going to be quite useful, quite a researchy type person, which I think is what we need.
Good.
But we're going to take basically a strengths, weaknesses, opportunity, and threat perspective on what does it mean? What are the variables outside community that are going on? What's happening in the real estate markets? What in general, in a long haul, can impact the health and well-being of Sandoval? And so, give me a little time. It's going to take a little time to sit down and get that put together, but I'll revisit. I'll chat with the folks that were doing work on the committee before, and by this time next board meeting, we should have a pretty good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. And last but not least, Dave, can you just give us like a quick overview of where we are with the ad hoc legal representation committee?
We're still putting together the committee. Once we get that done, we'll get it in front of the board for approval. I'm working with Dave Heller on that.
Yeah.
So we really haven't gotten any, we haven't gotten very far because we're still putting the committee together.
Okay. Good. All right. Any questions for Dave on this? All right. Good.
President Bill, I know my presentations are so exciting. You forgot me on risk management.
Did I pass? I apologize. Risk management, please.
My pleasure. We met the first week of January on the 7th. The committee continues to look at all the vendor contracts and making recommendations on insurance. So we've been extremely active, but it is a fully functioning, very important part of the community. So thanks to Chairman Dunker.
My apologies, Todd. Thank you. Okay. All right. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, February 27th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Also a reminder, the annual meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 6th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. This meeting's adjourned.
Just one note, I won't be at the next meeting. Sarah Wood, who you met earlier, will be sitting in my place.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any comments? Any comments? Yes. And then we'll ask if anybody on the Zoom links wants to do a comment, to ask to raise their hands. Okay.
Michael Bendis, if you guys look,
Could you?
I'm sorry.
Address.
My name is Ramon Rosso, 2609 Cliff Farm Court.
Okay.
If you guys look outside at the park here, is always lights. There's a little lights. I mentioned light. But if you look to your left, towards the Anguilla, is a piece of sidewalk. It's very dark. If I put my hands in front of me, I can't even see. I want you guys, it's very dangerous. If it's somebody walk, somebody could jump. No, somebody can jump or something. I want you guys to know. Think about me. There's a little light. It's
Could you, let me give you my card, and I'd like you to send me some information. I'll have safety and security start looking at that.
okay.
Okay. Here, let me give you my card.
This is number one. Number two, every place I go around Florida, this community, they got like in the clubhouse, like a little restaurant or a little, munchy stuff. Over here is nothing. If I go to the pool, I have to bring in my water. I might have to bring my potato chips. Thank you. I mean, you guys ever considered to put it like a little snack bar? Even if it's finger food, you know what I mean? Hamburger, soda, whatever, kids or people that come in, they don't have to bring everything from home. I mean, it's a little concern. Everybody else, they got like a little restaurant, they got a little bar. You know what I mean? Even if for the people nighttime, they want to get together. They can't get together in this place because there's nothing to come. But if it's like a little bar, a little snack bar or something, maybe people, they get together here, they get some kind of entertainment instead to having nothing. So I want you guys to think about it and consider it.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. You're welcome.
Comments.
Okay,
sir. Okay. Does anybody on the Zoom links wish to say anything to the board or have a conversation?
Sure, he doesn't have a question.
Who?
Tom does.
Audience, Tom does.
John, go ahead.
Okay. I'll do that official stuff.
Tom Robertson, Wood One. I'm just going to make a comment that I don't know how I can or cannot help. But if we're talking about cars that are parking, is there any way that we could have precedent give us a second tablet, even if we have to pay for it, that they could actually take the picture of the car, including the license plate? So if obviously it's the car that needs to be fined and not the house that it's parked in front of, so that we could actually have the information that they would have their own separate tablet security, take the picture of the car with the time, I hope it has a timestamp, the license plate and the address, not that it's necessarily connected, because it's only the car that you're going to be able to try to give the fine to. And of course, that person would have to live here also.
Right. Yeah. See, because so one of the items that came up that was put into the Florida legislation, HOA legislation last year that was effective in July, Tom, was there was a new set of stringent requirements put on associations to do traffic enforcement. And part of the requirements, if my memory is correct, is that they have to contract with a licensed third party to perform that violations process. And I believe parking violations will fall under that. So we would see a increase in operating expenses to do that, plus a increase of volume through the violations and compliance process. And in some respects, we would turn the compliance committee into the traffic court. So, I mean, we can look at that again in safety and security, but I think there are some legislative hurdles that we have to, regulatory hurdles, I should say, we have to get through if we're going to do something like that. And also, as you just pointed out, if it's a friend visiting, we have no right to look up a license plate. The only license plates we have information on is our owners. Yeah. And it's voluntary registration for them to get a pass.
If I can add,
It's cops to do it, right?
well, if I can add, I get it. Myself and Chris and Brian, we get a daily report from security. They do a tour. Anything that happens here goes into this report. From the hours of 1 o'clock to 1 a.m. to 2 is when they would normally tow cars. And since we don't have a towing contract right now, they're taking pictures of the cars that would have been towed.
Right.
So we got license plates. We've got these cars parked on the street. I know what street it's parked on. I kind of know it's between two houses. Like this one was on Sunvale Court. Not sure if it was number what versus number what. So we do track this stuff now because this would be what happens is we try to call it. If it did have the towing contract, we would call at 1 minute after 1 o'clock because that's when we can tow. And if they're available, if they get here in time, they can tow the vehicles. In some cases, last night there was 3 cars that were towable. Unfortunately, we don't have a towing contract, but they do document the cars. As Bill mentioned, identifying this car and putting the onus of the fine on that particular owner is where the tricky comes in, because sometimes, if you have a guest, they park in the street, they don't know any better. You're not going to pull your car out of the driveway and let them park in the driveway and you put your car out in the street. So, yeah, it gets a little touchy. Now, another thing, and I need to validate this, but there used to be a time where they used to put stickers on windows, right? Saying, and it was pain because you had to scrape the sticker off. Obviously, as risk management, as Mr. Dunker would know, somebody sued because the sticker was on the window and it impeded the vision of the driver, and the driver hit something. And now legislation, I'm not sure if it's legislation or what have you, but security companies will not put stickers on any window of any car. The reason why they use stickers is because it's harder to get off. They used to put paper on the windshield wiper. What do? You pull that off, you roll it up, and you throw it right on the road, right? So paper doesn't work. Stickers are now prohibited. So now you're left with just the identification of a car without a database that we have full vehicle registration availability. So honestly, towing, in my experience, we tow one car and it gets through the community. All of a sudden, behavior changes. So I'm hoping that we can get the right insurance in place to get the towing company back in service again, and kind of that's been our most effective tool. So
Can I say something about the Pennsylvania? We got a law. You can't tow cars unless you put paper. You have to give it the 24 hours. So I don't know how the Florida if it's the same way. You can't touch a car unless you have to put some kind of letter. You're a legal park. You have to give it 24 hours. So I don't know how the Florida. Be careful, we can get sued.
this is private property. It's in our bylaws that we can tow cars after 1 o'clock, between 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock. So
Then I get in touch with the lawyer and then make sure the lawyer's okay.
they've already done that.
Again, as a courtesy.
Okay, looks like the one question that was gonna come through Zoom, she doesn't need to have a question, okay. All right, thank you, everybody.
Presidente.